Everybody, Ralph Havens here, autoimmuneanswers.com. And, years ago, Jen and I started noticing and we started saying, if people are dealing with an autoimmune condition or some sort of anxiety condition or some sort of chronic or mysterious type condition, if they just do what we say, they'll get better. They'll get better. And that's a bold statement to make, right? But it's what we noticed. And some people do all of it, and some do parts of it, and some don't do much of it at all. And, some people show up and some don't. And so we've been able to see the difference when we notice what people do. And another thing that we say is, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not anything like that. I'm a physical therapist by training, but I've studied with lots of medical intuitive healers. And when I think about it, for my family, I've seen people with rheumatoid arthritis that don't have it anymore. I've seen people with some severe, kind of downright scary stuff, medical-ish stuff. And my family calls me and says, hey, can you work on so-and-so or so-and-so? And we've seen some miracles, people getting out of real trouble and being okay again. And so one of the things that I noticed is, I think it's from my work with Sharon Giammatteo, really. I don't think it, I know it. And a medical intuitive who developed a whole method of how to see and help people clear root causes of conditions. I'm not a medical doctor, but we can help people stay out of hospitals and the medical system. And it all depends on how people want to live, right? Like, there's definitely that route. You can go the medication route and the drug route and the surgeries and work in that world. And it can be very useful, of course, life-threatening stuff. They can do a lot, but there's other ways to live, right? And so it's not like I heal things. It's more like finding what's in the way of somebody's natural healing. It's kind of like, if somebody gets a cut, it's not like the stitches heal it. It's not that, because if the person was dead and there was a cut, the stitches wouldn't heal anything. There's something innate in us that heals. And the thing is to find out what's the problem. Like if there's a cut, is it infected? And if it's infected, then you got to clean it out and get rid of the infection and then it can heal. Or if the person has diabetes, then you have to get the blood sugar under control and then it can heal. So it's a matter of finding what's in the way of healing. And I've noticed that over the years of doing this, 35 years or so of doing this, and just progresses and progresses, there's some clients that stay with me. They stay with me. That idea that they keep doing the things that work and they can stay out of the medical system and stay healthy and be happy and be whole. And they start to get more and more of what they want in life beyond what they came to see me for initially. And one of the things that starts to happen is people can start to learn to do what I do for themselves and their family. They're kind of soaking in this energetic space and they start to have some access to it and they start to realize it. And as I was thinking of the session this morning, I did about an hour of deep meditation, a very specific type, and then another 45 minutes or more, another hour of the Wisdom Healing Qigong. So lots of techniques and methods, it seems, right? But it's kind of like when a really good dancer like Fred Astaire or Ginger Rogers, by the time you see them dancing, they're not following steps. They're not doing lessons. They're not using a method. They're just dancing. And yet it's still useful to take lessons and learn it. It's kind of like if you're learning to ski for the first time, water ski or snow ski. In the beginning, there's lots of lessons and you got to think a lot and it's a lot of that sort of thing. And but then it becomes a point when it's just automatic. When driving becomes automatic and skiing can become automatic and different things that we do. So there's a time when you transcend that. And when people are around this type of healing work, and then they get some how to do this thing, they start to do it. And there's people that practice diligently and do all the parts that we tell them to do, and they can get better. And they start to learn a skill set, and then it becomes them. They're no longer doing something, they just are that. And so that's what a lot of people, the ones that see me, that keep seeing me and come back and come back and come back, my long-term people, the one-on-one people that continue with me, that's what I think the reason they see me, you know, they get to stay healthy and keep ahead of the curve, so they can be, you know, they don't need to interact with a lot of that medical type stuff. Nothing wrong with it, but if you don't need it, you don't need it. And then they can learn how to play in the universe. And so as I was thinking about it today, I thought, you know, there's different parts of this. Like, you might take notes on this next little section here, because it's some of the secrets of the whole thing. And the first part, I would say, is to my Jen's dad used to tell me, Ralph, I just want you to be happy. And you know, it was when we were doing a lot of struggling, and I just thought I need this and this and this to be happy. But he was like, you just got to be happy. And Jen had told me, you just got to be happy first. And there's a way to be happy first. And so that's a big, big part of the whole thing. If you can develop this inner smile where you're smiling, kind of like if you have kids, when they're babies, you just look at them and you're just smiling, and you're just enjoying them, and you're just loving them without any kind of judgment or the need for them to do anything. You're just loving them, kind of like if you believe in God, how God could be looking at you, right? You know, just total like love, love, love. If you can develop this inner smile and be happy first, really grateful for what you have, not in an airy-fairy, trying to do it kind of way, but really start to access this gratitude and this happiness and this inner smile, then you got a chance. Then you got a chance. If you don't have that, it's pretty hard. Pretty hard. Now, the next part is there's a physicalness to it. There's a physicalness. So you could probably sit on your couch and meditate all day and never exercise and eat a bunch of junk food, and maybe you would transcend things and you know, connect to God and get that gratitude and happiness. But my experience is it's really good to go through the body. And by that, I mean, it's really good to eat good food. I know that's so simple sounding, right? And there's different ways to eat that are healthy for different people, of course. But we use a very ancient technology, an ancient way of eating that's tens of thousands of years old. However long humans are, that's the stuff we use. And so instead of trying to use diets that are fads or new things or things that are designed to stop disease, there's a way just to go straight to what worked for humans 10,000 years ago. And so if you want more info on that, there's a whole nother bit of that for that. But so that inner smile, and then eating right. You know, if you're eating sugar, it's going to be hard to get ahead. You know, if you're eating a lot of grain, not gonna work. That's been shown that when the sugar industry paid off all those two Harvard doctors back in, I believe, the 50s, and they published those studies in the I think it was either the New England Journal of Medicine or JAMA, that said that sugar was clean burning, and that the culprits to heart disease and diabetes were fat, saturated fat. They actually lied. They lied. It's been found out. It's in the medical journals now that they were paid off by the sugar industry. So sugar's a neurotoxin. You know, if you're eating a lot of processed sugar, or even just a little bit of processed sugar, you know, it's going to be harder to get healthy. That's just the way it is. And if you're still in the low fat is bad mode, you've been lied to. But if you want to tap into the ancient wisdom of what people 10,000 years ago were using, then that could be a really useful thing, right? So there's the happiness, there's the food, there's the exercise. You know, simple stuff, right? But if you're not moving much, if the most you move is 100 meters in any direction in any given day, and you're just like, we were doing a lot of this, you know, so busy and living out here, and we ended up driving a lot and realizing that, oh my goodness, we haven't moved physically our bodies very far today if I didn't run. So whatever you can do that's exercise that you enjoy will be really useful. Now in the beginning can be hard. It can be like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. But once you do it for 100 days or so in a row and you're exercising, it becomes something that if you don't do it, you miss it. So getting that habit is really, really important. Habit of exercise, some sort of physical exercise, build up a sweat. And these sound like so simple, right? And we're talking about being a wizard, but these things are all important, I believe. Like there's people that that I've trained with that are very, very, very gifted medical intuitive healers, but they don't do these things. They don't eat right. They don't exercise. And, you know, they're still doing great work, but I think there's something missing there. And when you think of health and happiness and getting what you want in life, whether it's money or relationships or stuff, you know, people that are moving well, that are moving young, that have bodies that work, there's a happiness that comes from that. So the inner smile, the right food, the right exercise for you, all very important. And then the other parts to this are how to, the techniques to clear all the blocks in you, the physical, the mental, emotional, the spiritual blocks to happiness and healing. And that's why I love the Wisdom Healing Qigong. It's a very powerful method that combines a lot of ancient techniques and methods to clear blocks. And as you do these techniques, if you do the things that we use with the matrix energetics and with all the other stuff that we use, the peace process and everything else, there's a way to go inside and do that thing that's been in the spiritual traditions, be still and know that I am God. Now that sounds kind of funny, but using these methods, something starts to happen if you do it in a certain way. If you do it just like without thinking and lots of thoughts and lots of stuff going on, it takes a lot longer. It doesn't work as well. But if you don't treat it like a technique and you don't treat it like a method and you do it in a different way, you can start to transcend. And even the exercise you do and the making and eating the food and everything else you do, the gratitude things you do and the deep inner smile, if you do it as a method, like I'm going to do these things because I want to be healthy, or I want to make more money, or I want to be a wizard, it works somewhat, but there's a way to do it without turning it into a technique. Even though it looks like a technique, it is a technique. There's a way to do it without turning it into a technique. And when you do that, something starts to happen. And it becomes this exploration of what you truly are. And so the people that see me long-term in the beginning, you know, the first round with me or so is to get over what the things that they want, the health, the abundance things, the money things, shifting things. And the ones that do all the parts, all these techniques and methods, all these things, they can start to learn a way to do it without turning it into a technique or a method, and turning it into a deep exploration of what you truly are. And then what I've noticed is it becomes a thing that you just are. And even though, you know, people are still eating right and exercising and doing certain Qigong exercises and doing certain ways to use matrix energetics and doing all these things that look like techniques and methods, what's really going on inside is that they're noticing what they truly are. And from that moment, you can start to notice that everything is working for your good. Everything, the challenges, the opportunities, the timelines that seem to be going slower than you want for certain goals that you have. It's all working for your good. Now, if you just think that and try to turn it into a mantra, it can work. But if you start to actually really, really get this, you can understand that everything really is working for your good all the time. And then this gratitude becomes a natural thing. And so in the beginning, thinking about what you're grateful for is work, right? It's like, okay, yeah, I'm grateful for that. But at some point, it starts to become this revelation. And it's like, oh my God, I am so grateful for this. Yeah. Now, all of these videos that I do are encoded with this way of being. So that you can have a shift, a change, even in the chair you're in right now. So you can notice what you notice that's different after watching these videos. Yeah. I love it when I see people do all the work. The Qigong, the mindset stuff, the eating right, the exercising, putting all these things in place, because you can just see the stillness. Yeah. And from that place, you can start to make things happen. And that's what I feel is how to be a wizard. Without techniques, without methods, without turning anything into a technique or method, even though you're doing a lot of stuff to stay healthy, to stay happy, to connect with what you truly are. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Oh. So for the next moment, how about we all tune into what you truly are right now? And if you want, go inside your body with your attention and notice what you notice. All right, let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear what you notice, and I will talk to you tomorrow.